Hello friendos and randos, we are going for the second semi-final game this time versus Noel and Johnson. They are both on the blue-purple Luffy, and we can see here both are already on their 10 Dawn turns. We've kind of skipped a little bit ahead, however not much has happened in the meantime. Noel just drops his 8-cost Katakuri and Johnson is going for his top 5 search. He did drop a 8-cost Katakuri of his own as well the previous turn, so what I'm assuming is that Johnson went first and rammed once, played 8-cost Katakuri, and Noel was able to ram twice and played his 8-cost Katakuri now. However, we can see both players are at 1 life already. This is quite a scary position, I would say. Here we see Zorojiro taken for the side of Johnson and will draw a card now after. Let's see what Noel has in store this turn. Johnson 10 Dawn available, can play his first Sanji here. 6k swing into the Nami, maybe blocked or maybe countered. 1k required. It is going to be a block from the 8-cost Katakuri, and now 8-cost Katakuri swings into the 5-cost Nami, which is countered by Gum Gum Giant already. God Thread discarded, Dawn -2, draws 2 cards, and another 8-cost Katakuri drops for Johnson. Noel already in a slight deficit in terms of the board. Let's see if he can answer with a 8-cost Katakuri of his own. There is a 9-cost Sanji available for him, however no other bodies on that top 5. There is a 9-cost Lin as well. Let's see what Noel has here. We are gonna see cards in hand, 8 on the side of Johnson. What will Noel take from this top 5? There is just a bunch of counter events, honestly, and nothing else really available. Not even a 6k attacker to play off of this 9-cost Sanji. And if there was, that would be a much better place for Noel to be at right now. He might choose to just send everything to the bottom here, honestly. It's gonna be a Gum Gum Giant, and then the remaining sends to the bottom, draws into a 9-cost Sanji, I believe, and goes to Noel's turn. Here we are, 6k swings from Nami and leader incoming, as well as this 8-cost Katakuri. However, Johnson has 2 8-cost Katakuris to protect himself. Noel's hand is pretty large though. This is quite a vulnerable position to something like a Charlotte Pudding. If he gets hit by one, I think it will be fairly devastating. Noel's considering the 9-cost Lin. Here's a 6k swing into leader, immediately blocked by the 8-cost Katakuri. 8-cost Katakuri swing into leader now. Could be a block +1, or it could be a Thunder Bagua, which I see in the front of Johnson's hand. He definitely doesn't want to go down to 0 life here. Here is the Gum Gum Giant instead, discarding the Gravity Blade, drawing 2 cards, plusing 4k to his leader. Will this Nami turn sideways as well? It will not. 9-cost Lin comes down, heals Noel back up to 2 life, and that is the end of his turn. Johnson looking at his top 5 again. Let's see what he will have on this top 5. Will he have a Sanji play this turn that would put him 2 bodies above Noel? Would be very significant. Here is the 9-cost Sanji taken off of the top 5. Will he have another good body on the top 4 here? Draws 4 turn. Noel, while he did go second and he did have his leader effect first, it looks like he just doesn't have the 9-cost Sanji plus another body on the top 5 here. Gum Gum Giant available to block out of this 8k swing, and it looks like that will be the play. 9-cost Lin discarded for the counter event this time. Here is the Dawn -2, draws 2 cards. 8-cost Katakuri gonna swing again, block +1 here, counters out of that now, and there is the 9-cost Sanji. What will come with it? It is gonna be a 9-cost Lin, sending this 5-cost Nami to the bottom of Noel's life, and now the gap in the bodies has been created. 2 bodies to 4, and look at the top 5 for Noel. No 9-cost bodies still. There is a Charlotte Pudding which can turn the tides a little bit with regards to the hand size. Johnson is still running, I think, 8 cards in hand right now, so very big hand, can be shuffled out fairly well. Noel can do something like Sanji into this Pudding, or he can just play the Pudding raw as well. But nothing but 2Ks from the top of Noel's deck here. He is running Sanji as well as Usohachi. He may have cut the Gions from his deck from the previous day. Does have that 6-cost Sanji. Honestly, could have been a decent option off of the 9-cost Sanji as well, just developing a 6-cost body. And even if 9-cost Lin Lin removes this, it's 2k counter to Noel's life, which isn't too bad. Noel still has options. We are checking hand size of Johnson. It is around 8. I don't think Noel is gonna go for the Sanji into something play here. And the stakes here are super high. It is going to be Sanji still. Into the pudding, like I mentioned. And we are going to shuffle Johnson's hand away. 8 cards down to 5. And if there was any Gum Gum Giants or anything like that, maybe those are gone now. So Sanji into pudding. Definitely not what you want to see. But you are able to still develop at least another body. Noel closes the gap from 2 to 4 to, I guess, 3.5 to 4. Which is still better because he did also get 3 cards removed from Johnson's hand already. And there it goes. Johnson gets to draw 5 again. Let's see what he managed to pick back up. We're going to see 6k swing from Noel's leader into the face of Johnson. 1k counter required, blocked by the 8-cost category. 8k swing now could be blocked as well. It is going to be gear second immediately. And then now block plus 2k. It looks like that Charlotte Pudding was still pretty good for Johnson. He stays at 2 life by only losing 2 hand cards. Noel gets to set his Charlotte Lin Lin and Katakuri back active. However, he's about to get attacked by 2 Charlotte Katakuris and a Lin Lin and a Sanji as well. 5-cost Nami picked up for Johnson. Will go back up to 5 cards in hand after this. Does put the remaining cards at the bottom draws for turn. Now we're going to see all of these bodies turn sideways, force a lot of counter out of Noel. 8 first swing from the Katakuri. And even though Noel was able to burn 3 cards with that Charlotte Pudding and then 2 more cards with the subsequent attacks, Johnson is going to be burning quite a bit more than that this turn. Each 8k swing is 2 cards. Each 9k swing is 2 cards. And there's only so many 2ks in the blue-purple Luffy deck. Noel did see a lot of 2ks here. It's an 8k block from the Katakuri and 1k counter on the first Katakuri swing. Here's the second Katakuri swing. Gear second would stop this. However, Noel will grabs another Usohachi off the top of his life. 3 more swings available. Leader and Sanji and Charlotte Lin Lin shot. Sanji goes in first. Gum Gum Giant would answer it. It is gonna be 2-2Ks instead. Noel dropping a Franosuke and a Sanji here. 10 Don remaining. Charlotte Lin Lin and Leader left to swing. Still 7 cards it looks like in Noel's hand, so still relatively healthy. However, the board state speaks on its own. 3 bodies to 4 is a very big difference. Here is a 8k swing by the leader of Johnson. 3k counter required. And Noel doesn't want to burn too many cards, but he has to stay above 1 life at least. He doesn't have any more Charlotte Lin Lins lined up either. Last turn already forced to make that desperation play of the Sanji into the pudding. Countering out here could still be very scary if Johnson changes his mind and starts hitting this 8-cost Katakuri. If that goes down, I think Noel is going to be cooked for sure. He's already burned so much counter to try and protect his face. How will he have enough to protect his 8-cost Katakuri? It is a lose-lose situation here though. If he protects his face, he loses cards and he won't be able to protect his Katakuri. If he doesn't protect this second life, he's going to go down to 0. Noel just confirming cards in trash here. What are the options for Johnson? He's already in the lead on board. He doesn't need to develop another 9 cost. Just dropping that Nami he drew earlier will be enough in order to protect his last 2 life. He's already going to recuperate the losses that the Charlotte Pudding inflicted on him the previous time. This is a very important decision for Noel here. Taking can lead to him dropping to 0 life. Not taking can lead him to losing this Katakuri. He does take grabs at Usohachi. Nothing but counter for Noel here. Now Johnson can do several things. He can attach several Dawn to try and force Noel to go to 0. It is going to be 1 Dawn only, 10k swing into Noel's face. Gum Gum Giant plus 1k going to be forced. He is going to draw 2 cards off of that. And then has to burn another 1k in order to protect this last life. It is going to be a second Charlotte Pudding discarded. Let's see what the remaining Dawn is for. There is going to be the 5 cost Nami. Draws 3, puts 2 cards at the top or bottom of his deck. Johnson left with 5 cards in hand, just like right after the Pudding. However, was able to protect these 2 life cards. And again, Noel back on the back foot with less bodies, with less hand cards, and with less influence on the game than Johnson right now. There is a 8 cost Katakuri available. However, I don't think Noel has any more 9 cost Sanjis in his hand. That will still be a very powerful card to play down on the board, and that will equalize the number of bodies, 9988 to 9988. But Noel is only on 1 life. This is a very dangerous position. He does grab a Nami blocker off of the top 5 for his leader effect. Will he draw into that Katakuri, or will he just play this Nami? He does draw for turn. I don't believe that was the Katakuri. We are going to see Noel start turning his board sideways into the face of Johnson. 8k swing first, forcing 3k counter. Is there a gear second? There is a Gum Gum Giant I do see in Johnson's hand. A block plus 1 would also do the trick. Here is the Gum Gum Giant. Dawn -2, draws 2 cards. It is going to be a Katakuri discarded as the cost for the Gum Gum Giant this time for Johnson. Doesn't need any more big old bodies. He's already in the lead. He has 2 Dawn attached to Noel's leader. 8k swing into Johnson. Block plus 1 from the Charlotte Katakuri. 9k swing from the Charlotte Lin Lin. Will he be blocked again with Katakuri plus 2k? The son denies the mother of the tasty life that she wants to eat. 9k swing from Sanji now into the face of his captain. Just like in Whole Cake Island, they are fighting again, blocked by the 5 cost Nami. Will Dawn be attached to this Charlotte Pudding, or will Noel just drop that 5 cost Nami and pass the turn with 3 Dawn open? Let's see what the remaining decision is. There is the Pudding that can still attack. After her brother, after her mother, she can take after and punch into the face of Luffy with the power of Dawn. However, Noel not sure if that is the correct play. We've already whittled Johnson's hand down to 3. However, every turn that Johnson stays ahead of Noel in board, he takes 2 extra cards from Noel. There is going to be a differential that we see taken because of that. Noel is really thinking about swinging with this Pudding. He has the 2 Dawn already hovered. It is going to be a 6k swing with the Pudding, and it looks like it was countered by Johnson. There was a slight jump in the stream, however, I can tell that that 5 cost Nami was sent there recently. No, Johnson is still at 2 life, but 2 hand cards only. 2 cards are going to be sent to the bottom of Noel's deck. There's a God Thread and another card that I missed. I believe that was the 8 cost Katakuri. Charlotte Pudding does in fact take after her family. She is in the crew of a 4 Emperor. However, Luffy is the man who will be king of the pirates. He will counter out and stay at that healthy 2 life threshold he really wants to be at. Katakuri and God Thread hovered as the options for sending to the bottom of Noel's deck. However, he may want to hold on to that God Thread in order to answer another Nami blocker from Johnson. We are gonna assume those Usohachis will be used to protect Noel instead of to attack for him. And it is gonna be the God Thread and 8 cost Katakuri sent to the bottom of Noel's deck, and he will pass with only 1 Dawn open. Not too much to worry about in this matchup. There isn't a Holy Jones or anything like that. However, it will still be a bit difficult for Noel to stay healthy hand size wise in this position. And there is the Nami blocker that we mentioned, 2 counter events on the top of Johnson's deck. He will go down from 2 to 4 hand after the end of this leader effect resolution, and then if he plays Nami, he will stay at 4, drawing 3, putting 2 cards back at the top or bottom of his deck. And slight jump in the stream again, we are gonna see, I believe the Nami was taken, and I'm going to assume cards left at the top for Johnson. Now here's an 8k swing into the leader of Noel, 3k counter required. Noel having a ton of 2k still. Gum Gum Giant used right away here. Draws 2 cards. Does draw into a break in the 8 cost category. Here's an 8k swing into the leader of Noel. 3k counter or block +1. The following 9k swings are gonna be block +2. We are gonna expect Johnson to drop that 5 cost Nami again, so we are gonna see probably a repeat of last turn. 2 Dawn on the Luffy leader, 1 Dawn on the Charlotte Lin. And remember, now Noel doesn't have Dawn open. He can't do Gum Gum Giant, he can't do Thunder Bagua, he can't do Gear Second. He has to counter out like a normal human being and not the 4 Emperor that Luffy is. 3k counter, still quite a tall ask. The deck doesn't have too many 2ks. Every 2k you lose is information. And Noel also has to keep track of which 2ks he's already shown to Johnson, so that he doesn't give Johnson any more information. Johnson revealing 4 cards in hand as he's supposed to have, and will stay at those 4 cards after playing that Nami blocker as well. Blue Purple Luffy, the perfect storm of cards. Net neutral blocker, 9 cost Sanji into 9 cost body. And Noel counters out with 2k Sanji plus Zorojiro, his 2 wings, protecting him from Charlotte Katakuri. 9k swing from Charlotte Linen here, forcing 4k counter now from Noel. No counter event available. 2 + 2 will be fairly painful to lose here. However, Noel does have 3 Usohachis in hand, will be able to protect himself with the power of Snake Oil. The Katakuri may be blocking here. And it is going to be block +2 here. Katakuri turns sideways here. Is the Usohachi to support it. And there is the 9k swing from Sanji. Will this be a block from Nami? It will be. Nami will not let her captain take more damage. 6k swing from the leader now. 10 Dawn available for Johnson. What will he be playing? 1k counter required from Noel to counter out of this 6k swing. Does he only have 2ks? He's considering taking this swing. Not taking this will give Johnson information that Noel's hand contains nothing but 2ks. The last 8 minutes of the round, it is going to be the Usohachi counter out. Johnson now understands, okay, that is going to be what your hand is like. And the 5th 9k body has hit the tower, and Noel is going to be facing off into 3 life. Blue Purple Luffy is as if the game has just started again. Noel looks at the top 5 cards of his deck. What is available? 3 gear seconds. As if 1 isn't enough, it's coming back for more. There's a red rock as well available. He can grab that to remove one of these 9k bodies that are giving Noel so much grief. However, he won't be able to play much else that turn, and he doesn't have Gum Gum Giant anymore. Instead, he has 3 gear seconds. However, his opponent is on gear 4th. That's 2 times more powerful. It's way too little here. We might see Noel pick up one of these counter events and then send the remaining cards to the bottom, hopefully drawing into one of his other Nami blockers or into a Gum Gum Giant. That would be really, really crucial. And here we are, the gear second is chosen. Do the cards go on top or the bottom? just in such a tough position here, Noel. It's such a high stakes game. This game is gonna be so crucial, just like in Singapore, just like in the semifinals. Then he is hanging on by a thread. Four cards to place either at the top or the bottom of his deck. These will be the cards that determine whether or not he makes it to Worlds or whether his run ends here. And that's why this decision is going to be so important. That's why this decision is going to take so much time, so much care, so much thought. This is a really tough call for sure. He can draw into another gear second, but is that gonna be enough counter for him? If there's no other blockers, if there's no other answers, next turn he can keep the red rock on the top of his deck, try to answer the 8-cost category and go for a game with that. But the difference in the size of the board is just too much. 2 Charlotte Lin-Lins and 2 Charlotte categories versus just 1 each. And we do keep the cards on the top. He draws into another gear second, and Noel here starts trading into board. Johnson only 2 cards in hand now. Each 9k swing will force 1k counter out of him. Here is the Nami block 9 cost Sanji does go down, and Noel equalizes the board just a little bit. 6k swing into Johnson's face. He does take it even though he has the blocks available. Here is the Gum Gum Giant, allowing him to cycle his deck a little bit more. 8-cost category put on the board for Noel, and for the first time since the start of the game, he is back equal and actually ahead technically on board with 2 categories, 2 9 costs, and the Charlotte Pudding just as a little extra attacker. 2 cards in hand for Johnson. He will be taking 1 Franoske, and then remaining 4 cards will get sent to the top or the bottom. There's so much options for both players here. Only 5 minutes left in the round. If Johnson tries to go all in with these remaining cards, what will be the attacks? There is 99886. 113 puts everything on 9, and then 1 Dawn on everything else puts it at 5 10k swings. Noel does have 2 gear seconds and 2 blocker categories, but he doesn't want to lose those blocker categories for sure. Here's the first 9k swing, forcing a Gum Gum Giant, but we know Noel doesn't have one. 9k swing will force gear second plus a card, and Noel is only stuck with 2k's in hand. Normally a good problem to have, but in this case it is not. If Johnson tries to all in with his remaining cards, it will be 10 10 10 11. And while Noel can block 2 of those 10k swings, I don't think he can block the third. I believe he does have a 9 cost Sanji in hand, the second card on the left here. So he does have 1 break. He does take the first 9k swing. Here's the second 9k swing. Gear second plus 1 will answer it. However, this does give Johnson information. There's no Gum Gum Giant for Noel. 9k swing comes in again. Katakuri will be employed here to block plus 2, or it will be gear second plus another card again. And Noel, after finally clawing back the advantage on board, may have to give up these category blockers that are so crucial to his game plan. 3 minutes left on the clock. 4k counter required for this swing. A block plus 2 will do the trick. 9 Dawn remaining. Johnson can just go half and half. If he does, it's gonna be 2 9 Dawn, 5 plus 4, 11 by 12. 11 by 12, he can block twice, but if he does, the board will be left with just Lin Lin and Sanji. How can he take the game then? 4 cards in Johnson's hand. Noel counting, just trying to remember what's left, what's available for Johnson to play now. Time is ticking. He does have to make a call. If he counters here, he won't have any Dawn left. He'll be forced to block with his 2 Katakuri. But he has no choice. It's either lose the Katakuris now or lose the game by trying to protect them. And I think he knows that that is the forced choice he will have to make. And there's the gear second. And here's the first 10k swing from the Charlotte Katakuri. The block is forced. And then here is another 10k swing from the leader. 11k swing just for good measure. And the other block is forced. And once again, Noel is lost on board. 2 Charlotte Katakuri in the way of his run to the world final. And here is the red rock that we saw earlier. We had the future sight to know it was on the top 5 of the deck. Will it be enough? Will sending a red rock into one of these Katakuri be enough? Once this red rock connects, Noel has to send for game. He'll have 4 Dawn. He'll attach 3 to pudding, 1 to his leader, and go 7-7-9-9. 1 gets blocked by the 8 cost Katakuri. And if Johnson has 2k counter in hand, it's game over. Noel's just counting what his outs are. He knows there's not much else he can do. He has to send it. Here's the gear second taken to hand. Here's the red rock drawn for turn. Here is the red rock sending 8 cost Katakuri to the bottom of the deck. 6k swing into the leader of Johnson, countered out with a Bonclay. Noel had only 1 out, and that was if all 4 of Johnson's cards were non-counter. And I think with that said, I think there's not much he has left in the tank. The time has been called. They are on the final 3 turns. And Noel, just a simple lack of attacks available. Here's a 8k swing from Charlotte Pudding, countered out by gear second, and there is the scoop. The cards are thrown down, and that is the game for Johnson. He does take the semi-final game and advances to the final to compete for the World Championship. Noel unfortunately just wasn't able to ever catch up on the board there, losing by at least 1 9k body every single turn, and the 8 cost Katakuri just providing so much value for Johnson. Even after losing 3 cards from the Charlotte Pudding, the Charlotte Katakuri was able to make up for that difference, and Noel not able to advance to the Grand Asia Open finals this time. Of course, rooting for Noel. He is my countryman, but wasn't able to make it this time. Hopefully that will be motivation to go back in for the next season, and hopefully the next season the meta is slightly improved. But that is the case. It is what it is. The card game is a card game. I will see you guys next time. Peace out.